This video is about being wanted. This video is about a franchise doing everything in their power to keep a great player in the building, not being disrespected as Saquon Barkley has. More news on Hard Knocks, and it gets even more crazy what the Giants actually made and pushed for their last contract for Saquon. That was actually very similar to the Philadelphia Eagles. And I want to go over some James Bradberry stuff and obviously Brandon Ayuk news with CeeDee Lamb still looking for a contract. A lot to talk about here, so let's get into it.
A killer buried, but not dead.
Darren, we better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what's going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So I want to go over some news for the Philadelphia Eagles. A lot to discuss here because, man, as Hard Knocks continues with the New York Giants, it gets even worse. But to kind of give you an example of when a team really wants a player or a franchise player or a player that is one of the best of your defense or the best of your offense, keeping them in the building. And that's what Howie Roseman does, okay? When you do well, you get rewarded for it, unless, you need to let guys go because there's too many guys you're signing to big contracts, and I could perfectly get that because you can't sign everybody. But with Howie Roseman, he always finds those loopholes in contracts where he'll use fifth-year options on top of extensions later on and kind of lowering those cap hits throughout the years and still keeping players satisfied and full within their stomach financially, and that's what's really important here. So shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles for always doing that, and we always do that. Saquon Barkley, now this was interesting. As Hard Knocks continued, now we actually get to find out what the Giants actually offered after letting Saquon walk into free agency, which they probably shouldn't have let happen because that was already a disrespectful move towards him, to see what his value is. If they really wanted him, they would have paid him. We all know this. But to find out that the Eagles and Giants offered very, very close, very similar contracts. Now, it says Saquon Barkley was apparently offered a 3-year deal, $37.5 million deal with $25 million guaranteed by the Giants prior to signing a 3-year, $37.75 million deal with $26 million guaranteed. Okay, so realistically, the Eagles offered just a little tiny bit more, and obviously his guaranteed was $1 million higher. It was still a 3-year deal on both sides, so it was $12 to $13 million, between $12 to $13 million per year for 2 years, and the third year would have been an option year for Saquon Barkley. If it was actually this close, and this was actually said on Hard Knocks, Joe Schoen, the GM for the New York Giants, actually said this deal on this Hard Knocks show. So if it was that close and Barkley wanted to be a Giant for life and told them like, hey, you know where I want to be. Even John Mara, the owner, was actually saying when this happened about offering this deal, he said, man, I'm gonna lose a lot of sleep if we lose Saquon Barkley. And to be honest, I don't think $1 million in guarantees would have made a big difference if he really wanted to be a New York Giant. So theoretically, Saquon Barkley just didn't want to be a New York Giant. And I think at this point, guys, I think the biggest mistake the Giants did was let him walk. And let's just say Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown's contracts were up. Just say Devontae Smith's contract was up this year. We know he had the 5th-year option and stuff like that, but just say it was. You do not let a player walk into free agency like, oh, we care about you. We want you here so bad, but we're going to let you walk into free agency, see what your value is, and then we'll give you an offer with the promise of you coming back to us. And I think that's just total disrespect. Especially, you're not talking about a mid-tier player. You're talking about a player that has literally carried your offense at Saquon Barkley. 3 1,000-yard seasons. And yeah, the Giants haven't built offensive lines. They haven't produced offensive linemen. The Giants haven't had a number 1 receiver in how long? Really since Odell really left. It's been that bad. And can you really blame Saquon for the foolery, for the game playing in this situation? I mean, really, it's endgame when you let your best player, if you decide to talk to your player on the phone and say, hey, we're going to let you walk. but we really want you that badly. But please promise to come back and give us an offer so we can match it. Get the hell out of here with that. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. And I can't believe, I mean, look, yeah, I mean, the contract is the Eagles offered a little bit more, just a little tiny bit. It's not that much. $1 million more in guarantees. The overall contract was just a little tiny bit more between 12 and 13. I mean, it really didn't move that much. And Saquon Barkley decides to be a Philadelphia Eagle, being wanted and a team really going after you and feeling comfortable with you, and Saquon, going to a division rival. But blame the front office for that. Blame Joe Schoen. Blame John Mara. I mean, just seeing them, how they're trying to sign players is probably one of the most embarrassing ways I've ever seen. Like, they just feel like they're just trying to grab whoever they could possibly get. I don't think the Giants even know how to build a team that wants to win a championship at this point. So I thought this whole entire thing was interesting. So, first, before free agency even hit, it was like $7 million a year. But that wasn't happening by a landslide because of how free agency went. That would have been lower than DeAndre Swift, what he got paid. And DeAndre Swift was the first running back, I think, that got paid with like a little over $8 million. But this is what I'm saying when you talk about a franchise player, and everybody wants to hate on Saquon. The Giants fans want to hate on Saquon, and Tiki Barber wants to bitch about it. But at the end of the day, like, look how they treated him before he hit the market. He shouldn't even hit the market if you really wanted him that badly. But because of your bad decisions and paying Daniel Jones $40 million this year and just trying to make it work, the Giants' defense should be good this year, but their defense is going to be on the field a lot this year because offensively, you draft one of the best wide receivers. I think Neighbors is fantastic, but they have no quarterback to throw to. I mean, they don't even know how to draft in the right moment of what they really need. You know what I mean? So it's just, they're just a laughing stock at this point. Losing Saquon made them a bigger laughing stock, and I don't think anybody cares anymore. So I don't know if any more news is going to come out on this, but it's going to get, I think, really interesting going forward. And talking about players that need to be satisfied and paid, it seems like Brandon Ayuk is out of San Francisco. I don't know if this is going to be their downfall, but obviously, San Francisco is, if they're going to try to trade Brandon Ayuk at this point, or I don't know what they're going to do at this point, but he's going to sign somewhere else. Hopefully he doesn't sign with Washington with Jaden Daniels. Not I'm worried about Jaden Daniels so much, but obviously McLaurin and Ayuk would be a nice tandem for Washington, and him and Jaden Daniels are really close. They've been hanging out this whole offseason, so I'm wondering if this is even true. It seems like it's all over the place from some of the NFL top writers, so I don't know how true this is, but he wants to get his money, and then on top of I guess they couldn't figure something out, so it looks like the 49ers, I would say the 49ers lose their best receiver. That's just me. But this leaves CeeDee Lamb out in the open, still not getting paid. The Dallas Cowboys have no cap distribution. They don't know how to manage it correctly with the situation with Dak Prescott this year. Micah Parsons is going to be a free agent in a couple years, whatever it is. They have to start thinking about him really soon as probably being one of the highest paid linebackers, or they want to pay him as an edge rusher. I don't know how they're going to do that. But this is what I'm talking about when you don't take care of things early and then you have to kind of work around it. The Dallas Cowboys are a different story because their cap management is one of the worst I've ever seen. The Dallas Cowboys never spend in free agency, ever. Like when they got Brandon Cooks and like when they do moves like that, it's almost as if it never happens, and it really doesn't. But this is not me torching them, but at the same time, CeeDee Lamb is your best receivers, put up his best numbers. You let Michael Gallup go for a bag of peanuts. You know what I mean? You trade him for nothing when you had both of them together. Now CeeDee Lamb is really the only one that's there now that's getting most of what he's, when you had Cedric Wilson, you had some of these other guys in the offense, you were able to have nice pass distribution. And really the only thing that's making the passing game work is really CeeDee Lamb being in that offense. Really without him, they really don't have anybody at this point. They really don't. So keeping CeeDee Lamb and keeping guys happy. This is what I'm talking about. The whole point of this video is literally keeping your best players happy. And, as long as, they keep CeeDee Lamb unpaid at this point, I mean, who knows? He might ask for a trade. He might, stick, I don't know if he's even going to play a game this year at this point. I would think something is going to happen maybe before the season starts, but for the money he wants, which he definitely deserves, he deserves over $32 million. I mean, he does. I mean, $32 million a year probably deserves more than that, way more than that. I'm not saying Justin Jefferson money, but at the same time, like, if they're not in that ballpark, then I don't know where they're going with this whole entire situation. And that's what I'm talking about with CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Ayuk and just players that, have done well for their teams, and these front offices not jumping on it, getting something done immediately. Say, we'll try to work it out. There's always ways to free up cap space and to make loophole type moves. And it seems like teams like the Giants, teams like the Dallas Cowboys, just totally different. I mean, totally different franchise with two totally different perspectives on how they treat free agency and going in different directions. And they're both bad ideas going forward. The Giants do things totally wrong in the offseason, make some good moves, but make some really bad ones. And the Cowboys just do literally nothing. And literally get like third licks, fourth licks, leftovers on just nobody's by the second, third week of free agency. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens going forward with the situation. But it's a big win for the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's going to make players want to come to the Philadelphia Eagles to be here and be with this team and feel like they're loved, feel like they're wanted. I mean, a perfect example is even Mekhi Becton, didn't like how he was treated with the Jets. He feels like family with the Eagles. Like, it's all about how they feel. Like, you're not being treated like a number. You're being treated like a person, but getting paid to obviously put your athletic ability out on the field every single week. So it's crazy how the contracts are close. And, I know I've been kind of rambling about this, but it's just really interesting how when teams jump on things, how teams really treat their players going forward. Now, the last thing I kind of want to go over is obviously James Bradberry. Now, he held this Boys and Girls Club, little football game. So we're always trying to figure out what's going on with James Bradberry this offseason and what the future is with him. And there's been no news. It's been almost empty at this point, because there's so many questions. Because James Bradberry stays with the Philadelphia Eagles in 2024. One of those young corners that we really want to develop is going to be going to another team and probably going to ball out. That's what I'm really afraid of. Between having Isaiah Rodgers making as much noise as he has, Quinyon Mitchell obviously going to get a shot and see what they're going to do with him as their first-round pick. You can't just bench him this year. Cooper DeJean, he's either going to play inside or he's just going to be a safety this year. We'll find out what happens with him. Keely Ringo, Eli Ricks. I mean, there's so much talent, man. And a lot of guys have had some, obviously, playing time last year, some starting capability, which is great. You've already gotten their feet wet being in real games. So there's really a lot to look forward to, but the main question is, are they dealing James Bradberry? Are the Eagles actually moving him to safety? Because there's no depth at safety right now, because if we see James Bradberry playing safety, being moved there in training camp, then they really don't trust him at cornerback, and they really want to go with what they have, which they should. They should go with the young talent, the youth movement. So the James Bradberry moving to safety only makes sense because right now on paper, with Sidney Brown being out, they're behind Cooper DeJean and behind Reed Blankenship, there's really nothing there. I mean, there's really nothing in that spot that gives them more competition. So athletically sound, I think Bradberry's not great when it comes to I can't imagine him. He's more of a zone guy, so I guess it would make more sense, I guess he'll be better in open space a little bit and reading coverages. And I don't know. I honestly have no idea. I don't know the communication, what it's going to look like. So this whole situation is just really confusing. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens by the time training camp starts. There'll be a lot of answers, at least by the first day, second day. Within the week, we'll have our answers on where they're putting guys and how dramatically it's going to change going forward with him. You know, whether you get rid of him, you take a big dead cap hit, $10.5 million, whatever it is. I think you only save like $1.2 million in the process if you flat out release James Bradberry at this point. You know, so I don't know what the Eagles think. I don't know what Vic Fangio thinks about James Bradberry still being here. I mean, you just drafted a corner in the first round. It just makes no sense. I mean, you can't redshirt a first-round pick. That's the one thing I do not want to happen. That's going to probably ultimately piss me off. And then the more times I see Brad, and I'm not saying Bradberry's a bad player. I think there's a lot of needy teams in a trade that the Eagles just get a draft pick, take the dead cap hit, take the 1.2 in savings, get a stupid draft pick for next year or the year after, even for 26. At this point, I don't even give a shit if it's a 26 7th rounder. Doesn't matter to me. Just get something for him, whether it's going to be a late pick of a 6 to a 7, so whatever. You know, but we'll see what happens down the road in this situation with James Bradberry, and it should be something to look at by the time the season starts and where the training camp starts and where they really put him. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about the Saquon Barkley situation, how laughable it is that he chose the Eagles over the Giants on pretty close contracts, and how they treated the situation. That we talk about, obviously, CeeDee Lamb, talk about Brandon Ayuk being done with the 49ers, wanting to get that trade, go somewhere else, sign somewhere else, get something to happen at least. So we'll see what happens with that situation. If they decide to try to maybe trade him, tag him, and trade him, I don't know what they're gonna do. You know, we'll see how that goes. And let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I think this training camp is going to be one of the most exciting ones going forward. James Bradberry and where he's going to go, where everything's happening in that regard. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys haven't checked out the Philly Shakedown podcast merch, definitely check it out. We have a big announcement coming next week. And we're excited to showcase some stuff that you really are going to like. But remember, we do have a store here with a lot of great things. If you guys haven't you pre-ordered some stuff or you haven't ordered anything, definitely take a look at it. We have sizes from extra small to 6XL shirts. We have, for the summertime, men's and women's sleeveless shirts. If you guys haven't checked any of that out, and all that great stuff. So definitely a lot for the summertime and a lot more coming towards you guys in the near future. So appreciate so much for all the support at the end of the day. So you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you guys on the next one. Shakes what up, follow side. Peace out, guys. Peace.